Hi, everyone. I think we're at time, so we can probably get started. Welcome to a talk about how to build a data platform like a product, which is a topic I'm really excited about. And thanks for coming in to listen. My name, by the way, is Lior. I'm CTO and co-founder of a company called Monte Carlo. I'll quickly introduce ourselves. Monte Carlo is a creator of the data observability category. I'll explain what it means later. But essentially, we help teams build reliable data products, and we help a lot of data platform teams, a lot of different companies out there, including Fox and Pepsi and CNN and many others. We've raised over $230 million from the backers of Snowflake and Datadog and other great companies to do this. We're going to release our first book about data quality and data observability later this year, coming out from O'Reilly. So with that said, I'll jump right into our topic for today. So I'll start by kind of defining what a data platform is. So by definition, a data platform is a set of tools or services that other people can use to build data products, right? And when you need a data platform, at the point where your company has a lot of different use cases for data. For example, some people might be using it for marketing. Other people might be using it for product analytics. Some other people might be building features for production around it, or training machine learning models to that drive product features or business operations or really anything else. And at that point, it could be hard for a single team to really build and address all of those different use cases. And at that point, you might split the data team into teams that specialize in a particular area of the business or a particular feature set, and then kind of build a set of tools that all of these teams use in order to address their specific part of their business. Because when you process data and when you build data products, there's a lot of things that are common, no matter what the specific problem you're trying to solve is. This is, on the slide here, you'll see one way of breaking down a data platform, but and you'll see other ways, but most data platforms will have one or more ways to ingest data. So basically bring data from operational systems or from various SaaS services that you're using or from third parties, and bring it into the platform, into the data warehouse or the data lake. In addition, you will have a storage and processing mechanism, which is typically a data warehouse or a data lake, right? It's a way to take all of that data that you ingested and transform it and manipulate it in various ways. You'll see a data transformation and modeling tool. Think like something like DBT or Spark, right? That allows you to essentially create transformations to model your data, right? You'll see a business intelligence and analytics tool, something like Looker or Tableau, that can help people visualize data and extract insights. You will increasingly see a data observability tool. We'll talk about it today, but essentially a way for people to understand the health and the trust of the data in the platform. And then many great data platforms will also have a data discovery tool, which allows various stakeholders to find out what data exists in the platform, how to use it, which data sets to trust, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's kind of what a data platform is. And whether you have a data platform team that's fully dedicated to building the platform, or whether it's being built by by individuals in various data teams, as side projects, you do have those set of tools that perform these functions, and it's critical to evolve that in the right way. Today, I'll talk about some of the learnings that we've had from both, building data platforms ourselves, and also kind of talking to people that have built data platforms in other companies, including the data platforms that today serve Uber and LinkedIn and Airbnb and other kind of great tech companies. So with that said, let's go right into principle number one. And that's very critical. If you want to treat your data platform like a product and really make it useful for your constituents, you have to understand your constituents, right? And so the number one advice is to align the platform's goals with the goals of the business, which means you need to understand how does your business use data? How does it make money off of data? How does it grow using data? How does it cut costs using data? What is the strategic value of data, right? Like, what areas of the business even matter? You have to understand what data is necessary to accomplish those goals. You have to understand how the data needs to be manipulated in order to accomplish those goals. And what really the SLAs are, like, do you need it to be almost real time? Do you need it, is a day or a week or a month delay okay? What sort of manipulations are you hoping to do with the data? Is it going to be SQL? Is it going to be Spark? Is it going to be Python? Is it going to be something else? For the people that are going to use it, what do they need to find? How do they need to use it? And in addition to that, what sort of governance do you need there? Like, who's going to be able to access this data? Who's going to be able to need various types of permissions inside? How are you going to create contracts in the system so people can effectively work together, right? And so understanding all of those aspects is before you actually choose your tools or build anything is critical, and will guarantee that you get the best adoption for the platform that you're building. So with that in mind, switch to learning number two, which is as a platform, you do need to balance the long term with the short term, right? On one hand, you always want to have success stories and adoption, right? If you adopt a certain tool, you want it to be immediately adopted. You want it to drive business value, high visibility business value pretty quickly, because otherwise the organization will not let you run with a data platform and build it over a long period of time, right? Like, you have to show success to get buy-in, to get more resources, and to get more time to build out the platform. On the other, having said that, you do want to build a platform with a long-term view of things, right? Remember, a platform is a tool for others, for other teams to build on top of, right? And so when you build, you need to think about that scalability, right? And the ability to use the platform to build bigger, better things, right? And if you don't take that into account, if you only focus on the short term and then delivering this feature or that feature, you might end up with the red line on the slide here, where yes, you've shipped a bunch of features, but you haven't really enabled the organization to take advantage of data, right? And so in all of the choices that you make, you have to really balance the need for short-term wins with the need to build out capabilities that can be built on top of and that will serve the organization for a long time. And this is an iterative process, right? Like some of the companies that I mentioned earlier, like Uber and LinkedIn, have evolved their data platforms over a decade, and obviously over that length of time, the tools, the methodologies, everything changed and shifted as as those companies evolve and as people learn more about what's the best way to implement each of those 6 pieces of the platform, right? And so going on to the next learning, you all work for different companies, and it's really important to, as a platform, to think about what you're going to buy and what you're going to build, right? And I'm a software engineer. I love building things. That's what I do for a living for the past 20 odd years. And there's always that temptation. Oh, we have this need or that need, and let's build a tool for it. Let's do something cool. Let's use the greatest and latest, open source project. And the reality is that you have to be really careful with those decisions. When you choose to build something, you're not only investing the resources to build it up front, you're also making a commitment to maintain and evolve and support that solution over a long period of time, right? So you're really carving out a pool of resources to build out the tool over time, and that, I don't need to tell you, data engineers, data scientists, data analysts are highly and handsomely paid, and so that's a large investment for the organization, right? As compared to buying software when you can, where the vendor will actually come in with a built-out solution and support you over time, right? And so you need to take that into account. And building is almost always a very, very expensive exercise. So you have to be really thoughtful about it. There are definitely cases where you want to build. Examples of those scenarios are, if you have very sensitive or classified information that needs to be processed in a certain way and you cannot involve a vendor in it, that makes perfect sense for a build approach. If you have very specific requirements where you need to really customize tools for your own scale or use case or whatever it is that's very unique about your company, that's another case where you might want to where building might make sense. If you have some strategic or differentiated value in building the tool, that could also be the case, right? If it gives you a certain competitive advantage that you really want to have, right? So there are those reasons, and it sometimes does. But in general, from the conversations we had, and then also from our own experience, I would say if you can buy something, that's a good default, right? That should be the preference when you can. If there's a good reason to build, then definitely go for it and do it. But sticking to your core work and to the things that are specific and unique to your business is usually a good idea that gives you a lot of leverage from a platform perspective. Moving on to lesson number 4. So you're building a data platform. You want people to build data products on it. One of the things that are oftentimes overlooked is when you take something and put it in other people's hands, you're actually committing, whether implicitly or explicitly, to a certain level of quality, right? If nobody uses a product that doesn't work, or that sometimes works. You wouldn't want to use it, and if you're building a data platform, other people want to use it if it doesn't work, right? And so the advice we give is it's worthwhile to explicitly define what really is the SLA that the platform and the products that run on top of it should provide, right? what are the expectations that people that use it should have from the platform and from the products built on top of it. Now, defining this is very, very context specific and business specific, right? Probably don't have enough time today to fully discuss this topic, but common things that come up are, you want to define how quickly you expect data to be available from the moment it's created. You want to define what data should be there and what shouldn't. You should define like essentially the data quality, right? Like what percentage of records are going to be precise in whatever precise means in the context of your business. And what are some of the assumptions that a data consumer can make on top of the data that you're creating, right? And if you don't define these, then not only are you leaving things implicit and so hard to manage, but also you're increasing the risk that people using your platform will run into issues. We won't trust your platform, won't trust the product that you build, and therefore will not adopt it over the long term. So quality really matters and should be one of the first things that you think about as a data platform, and highly encourage you to go through that process. Which leads me to the kind of fifth and last learning, which is to prioritize trust with the people that use data, right? And this is a corollary of the previous learning, but if you work in data, I'm sure you got a Slack message along the lines of what you're seeing here, which is someone using the data and wondering why everything looks broken or wrong. And over time, if these things happen a lot and happen consistently, again, you lose trust with your consumers, and they won't want to use your data, right? And so our advice would be to, after you've defined what your SLAs are, is to actually prioritize meeting those SLAs, and to prioritize building trust and transparency with the people consuming your data. For the next 10 minutes, I'll try to explain how we propose to do this. But however you choose to do it, it's something critical to the success of the data platform that we've heard from pretty much everyone we talk to. So what's the problem really? The problem, which we've called data downtime, is and data downtime, the way we define it, is times where you're essentially not meeting the SLAs, right? When your data is wrong or incomplete or missing or delayed or otherwise inaccurate. Data downtime happens for a lot of different reasons, most of them related to the complexity of a modern data system, right? Anyone, you're probably consuming data from a lot of different sources, and that you don't even control, right? These are applications that other teams might be building or creating and changing. It might be even the people outside of your company that are creating the data. And so these data sources can change in ways that you didn't anticipate, and that can create issues downstream, right? And then even within your own team, it is you're working with other people. Everybody's making changes to the data platform and to the data products built on top of it. And any of those changes might have unintended consequences, right? It might break things downstream that aren't well understood, and really create issues in downstream data products. And so this happens to everybody, and this probably the sad news is going to continue to happen. As a data platform, you're actually in a position to give people tools to manage data downtime, right? You can't really deal with data downtime if you don't know that it happened, and if you don't have the right tools to address it. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But point I want to make is this is a critical part of a great data platform and a service that every that every data team can use when using your platform. Just to before we dive into details, just want to kind of highlight data downtime actually has material business consequences, right? I mean, you're using data to guide your product decisions. You're using data to guide your marketing decisions. You're using data to train machine learning models that perform critical functions in your product, and you're using data to run business processes. And research shows that the average company loses $15 million a year for poor data quality, and other surveys show that data engineers might spend 30 to 50% of their time on data quality problems and on fire drills. I've definitely seen it firsthand. We work with over 150 companies these days. Can definitely see it in our customer base. It's a big problem. It's a painful problem for the business. And so, from a data platform perspective, there's justification to invest in tools that would help mitigate, in tools and methodologies, honestly, that help mitigate this issue. Having said that, what we see out there today with most data teams is, if you're not really prioritizing trust in your data platform, what you'll see is that when there is a data issue, and there will inevitably be a data issue, 90% of the time or so, it might be caught by a downstream consumer of the data, right? Someone will look at a dashboard and say, oh, this is wrong. Or a customer might use your product and it will look broken because the underlying data was wrong. And then maybe sometimes you're able to catch certain data issues by, if you're lucky, if you've written some tests in your data pipelines to catch the obvious problems, right? This model, the pro is it doesn't require a lot of time or investment. The con, obviously, is that it doesn't really optimize for trust, right? When you let your downstream consumers find out about issues, they're not going to trust your platform, right? And so let's talk about how you might deal with that. We're actually proposing to borrow some lessons from how reliability is managed in other domains, right? And the one that's nearest to my heart is in software engineering, right? DevOps or site reliability engineering is a discipline that has existed for a couple of decades now, and so it's well understood what is the process by which you manage the reliability and the trust in software products. We propose to kind of adopt the methodology in data platforms as well, right? And at a high level, the process is something like make sure you're able to find data issues proactively, right? Not by trusting your consumers, but actually by having the visibility in the data platform to actually detect and alert on problems before they hit the end user. You then adopt a certain set of methodologies and tools to resolve issues, right? When a problem happens, like how do you deal with it? How do you find the right person to deal with it? How can they find the issue as quickly as possible, and how can they fix it as quickly as possible? And there's certain elements here that are very specific to data. Like, for example, in data, you might need to backfill a lot of things, and that's a complicated process. If you're not ready to do it, if you don't have the right tooling in place, you might find it very, very hard to do it quickly. And then the final part, which is as important, is the prevent piece, right? Where over time, hopefully, you learn from your mistakes, and you make new mistakes, but at least you avoid making the same mistake over and over again, right? And the way to do that is to adopt a cadence around retrospectives, to learn from what happened, to identify how you could do better next time and how you could improve your processes and your tooling, right? And so adopting this full cycle allows you to really manage trust in a proactive manner. A key piece of that process is observability, is what we call observability, right? And again, borrowing from the DevOps world, observability is this idea that if you have the right tooling in place, you can actually understand the health of your system at all times. How do you do that? In software engineering, you collect metrics and traces and logs, which give you a picture of how well the system is performing against its SLAs, and that give you a very granular understanding of not only whether the system is performing, but also why is it performing or not performing. We propose to copy it over to the world of data. The good news is that in data platforms, we're seeing across the board, in data platforms, people are struggling with the same set of problems that keep plaguing every single platform and every single data asset, starting from very basic questions like, is my data up to date? Do I have the right amount of data? Am I getting nulls where I thought I'd have IDs? Am I getting duplication, et cetera, et cetera? And so observability is basically, or data observability is basically the idea of collecting a lot of information from the system, metadata, logs, metrics, measuring all of these different questions that essentially every data platform needs to deal with, and giving people the tools to both alert when there's issues, the tools to then resolve those issues, and then the tools to prevent issues in the future, right? And we only have half an hour today, so I'm not going to have enough time to cover all different ways to do that, but it is doable, and we've seen the pattern across so many data platforms, and I'm happy to talk with anyone who's interested to learn more about how to actually create observability in a data platform. We're coming up on time, so I'm going to do a quick recap here. So just reminding you, when you're building a data platform, it's important to understand what problem you're trying to solve for your business, and to align the data platform's goal with the business goals. It's important to balance short-term wins with the long-term potential of the platform, and build scalable solutions that really allow others to build on top of and become more efficient. Important to think about buy and build in a not only from the perspective of what am I excited to work on, but also from the perspective of what makes sense for the business and where can I really create a competitive advantage versus buy off the shelf. And then the last two refer to what I think is one of the most critical parts, but it's basically explicitly defining what level of quality and availability you're going to give to your consumers, and then to go ahead and prioritize meeting those SLAs, investing in the right processes and the right tools to do that. And I think the common thread here across all of these is what I consider the cardinal rule of product management, which is focus on your customer, right? Try to figure out what their needs are, what they're hoping to do, how what you're building is going to help them accomplish it. and do it at a level of quality that would meet their needs. So thank you very much for attending this talk. More than happy to connect with anyone who wants to talk more about this, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you all.